Hello and welcome to Quays News. I'm Harley Lewis.
And I'm Ben Pearson. We start our show today with politics and the annual Labour Party conference. Wrapping up yesterday, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer rounded out the first party conference where Labour have been in power.
With the recent vote to cut the winter fuel allowance for many pensioners, our reporter Oliver Sykes went along to speak to delegates and protesters outside the venue.
Chiming into the city on the back of an election victory, the Labour Party conference is once again being held in Merseyside. Many protesters have been gathering outside of the venue earlier this week. Some of them were from the Liverpool Merseyside Pensioners Association, protesting about the winter fuel allowance.
The big issue for pensioners obviously is the heating allowance, really. To attack the pensioners is an absolute disgrace. And when you think it's a 22 billion black hole they keep talking about, and the money that they're getting off the pensioners is only 2% of that. So it's a very small hole they're going to fill by taking money off hard working pensions.
Mostly about austerity, but the foreign policy also is extremely continuity Tory, and that's the problem. They've promised the earth, and they've promised clean, squeaky clean, new day, and instead what we're getting is sleaze and more sleaze.
I spoke to Labour councillors on their views on the recent cuts to benefits.
To my mind, the winter fuel allowance, there are a terrific number of older people who don't need it, and as a group, older people by and large are better off than younger people. Younger people who can't afford homes, and younger people who are struggling to find jobs, who are struggling to get better mental health treatment. But I think we have a task to make sure that every pensioner who's eligible for working for pensioner credit gets it.
It's obviously a very difficult inheritance the government have had, haven't they? They've come into office as a £22 billion black hole in the economy, and they've got to fix it somehow. And we're just talking this week about how we can do that in a way that's fairest to people, that gives people some hope for the future.
Oliver Sykes, Quays News, Liverpool.
Salford's Regent Retail Park could be knocked down in November to be renovated into flats.
Henley Investment Management say they plan to level up the outdated retail park.
If approved, it could see more than 3,000 new apartments with a skyscraper more than 70 stories high. Our reporter Gracie Jones has more.
Home to family favourite shops from Pets at Home to TK Maxx, the future for Salford Regent Retail Park could be looking bleak. Henley Investment Management presented a plan to Salford City Council back in July to flatten this land behind me in order to make new apartments and new commercial living spaces. What is behind the plan says that this development could bring £1 billion into Salford. Yet, Salford locals aren't quite convinced. Over 260 people have written to the council expressing their oppositions for the plans, stating that this would be a big loss for Salford. According to Henley, the reconstruction will provide 10,000 square metres of community and commercial space, in addition to 5 acres of public open space and new residencies. However, some locals feel that this just isn't enough. Salford MP Rebecca Long-Bailey has called upon the council to refuse this application. She says these plans won't help tackle the urgent need for social and affordable housing. The council is still reviewing the application and has until the 4th of November to decide whether to go ahead with the plans or not. Gracie Jones, Quays News, Salford.
Knife crime is causing damaging effects across Manchester. As of yesterday, it is now illegal for anybody to possess or sell zombie knives or machetes anywhere in the UK. With the prevalence of knife crime, the number of people who have been seen or been affected by knife crime is rising. I bring this up today because this is something I recently saw for myself. Around 11 PM on Friday, walking through Piccadilly Gardens, I noticed a large group of young people scatter, leaving behind a woman who'd been stabbed. I was only stood around 5 feet away from her when I noticed the woman was left dripping with blood and her whole outfit had been stained red. Me being the only person left, I stopped to call the emergency services. Manchester Piccadilly has become a hotspot for these types of crimes. Central Manchester holds a high offence rate of possession of weapons than anywhere else in Greater Manchester. Last Tuesday, police conducted an investigation where they sent a 17-year-old boy into corner shops across Manchester to buy kitchen knives. Multiple shops failed to ID the young boy and he was sold packets of knives for as little as £2. With these knives having lethal potential, police and government now feel it's imperative that the correct procedures are being followed. Next week, I'll be speaking to a number of the police to discuss the initiatives that they have put in place.
Next, Park Run has been a big part of people's Saturday morning. The runners, volunteers and organisers of the Park Run community are now celebrating 20 years. Since its creation in 2004, more than 2,200 events have been set up in 23 countries around the world. Our correspondent, Dan Waters, went down to Peel Park Run to see what people thought about the history and the making of the event.
On one Saturday morning in 2004, 13 runners in Bushy Park got together for a 5k run. And within 2 years, those runners had created a community as the Parkrun name quickly moved on to Wimbledon, where they proved that more than one event was manageable. Now, after 20 years of running, the event is worldwide and is a Kickstarter for People's Weekend.
Yeah, I'm a consistent runner. I don't run here a lot, but I run at Platfields a lot. I run back in Australia a lot. I've been doing Blackpool. I've done a whole bunch in Manchester. The hardest one in Manchester I found was Hyde Park. It was half snow, half road. That was quite difficult.
Parkrun is for any ability and of any age, and there are now more than 2,300 locations in 22 countries, from the UK to Norway to New Zealand. Sites are in countries spanning 5 continents across the world.
I'm a New Zealander, so I've run a few in New Zealand. When I've been travelling in Europe, I've run in, I think, Austria and France before it actually closed in France, so a couple of other places. And the event itself, it's right across the world, so it's in North America, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, everywhere.
Not only is Parkrun about the running, but a sense of community is the greatest gift from this organisation. Volunteers also make their way down to their parks and keep people on track, and without them, Parkrun would not be where it is today.
I've been volunteering now, I think this will be about my 54th Parkrun, so just over a year or so I've been volunteering. Come down most weeks, and when the weather's nice I give a free yoga class to the runners as well, because I'm a yoga instructor in my day job.
Parkrun has been continuing to bring the community together for the past 20 years, and throughout the Parkrun community people believe that will still happen. People come here to socialise, to run and to help out.
Runners from all over the world see Parkrun as a part of their routine. At Peel Parkrun, I saw that there were runners from all kinds of backgrounds, volunteers from all kinds of places, and a community that simply just worked together.
I think Parkrun caters to all reasons and motivations for coming. I think there's definitely a community here. There's lots of friendly faces that you see every week, and that routine I think is really nice for a lot of people. Some people come down to run quick, some people come down to socialise, and yeah, it's really open to everyone, which is what's so nice about it.
So, will a Parkrun start your Saturday morning? Parkrun will be around for many more years, and it's free. You might just enjoy the fun of the run in the winter or the summer. Dan Walters, Salford.
Thanks, Dan. Sports now, and what a day for both Manchester football clubs. One word, injuries. Let's start with the Red Devils Manchester United. Raphael Varane has announced his retirement from professional football with a new off-pitch role set for him to start at his new club, Como FC. The 4 times Champions League winner only left Manchester this June, but injured his right knee during his debut, and after the match posted an emotional Instagram post which started, "They say all good things must come to an end." For Manchester City, it's even worse, as it's their current squad that's affected. They aren't looking very healthy at the moment, as their star midfielder Rodri will not be playing indefinitely due to a knee ligament injury to his right knee. This was during the 2-2 draw against Arsenal, and Pep now wants to raid La Liga talent in order to find a replacement. Now, over to a different but just as talented Dan, who's got your entertainment stories.
Thank you, Ben. Philip Schofield has announced that he will return to television 16 months after his departure from the ITV show this morning. Schofield will appear on a Channel 5 special called Castaway after spending 10 days in Madagascar. The Vamps arrived in Manchester last night to start night 1 of 2 shows taking place, with the last one being tonight. Fans were seen queuing from 9 AM this morning outside of the O2 Apollo. Kim Kardashian visits Lyle and Eric Menendez in jail following the controversy over the Netflix show Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. Kim was said to be with her sister Chloe, her mother Chris, and then actor who plays Eric, Cooper Cock. The Great British Bake Off returned to our screens last night, and just a day after a contestant has been forced to drop out due to illness. According to the Daily Mail, the baker was gutted to miss out on the second day. The baking show is available to watch on Channel 4 every Tuesday at 8 PM. And that's it from me. It's now over to Gracie for the weather.
Good evening to you all. This week the country has had one thing in common. It's gone quite cool outside within the past few days. Temperatures at the moment are staying at mid-teens during the daytime, with cold temperatures of around 10 degrees throughout the night, so a lot colder compared to last week's weather in the high 20s and some sunshine. Let's take a closer look at Salford today then. It's following that mid-teen trend, and this morning we have had some patches of rain. Those grey clouds are sweeping through, which are keeping those temperatures quite cool. For the rest of the evening, a very cloudy start with high chances of some heavy rain showers, just as you're making your dinner. As we go into Saturday, there will be some sunny spells, but a flurry of grey clouds could bring a bit of rain. Don't be too warned, as it's more likely to stay quite dry for the most part. Sunday's looking slightly better at the moment, with chances of rain in the evening, and that rain then heading into the night. The temperatures will remain quite low, with highs of around 12 degrees and lows of 9 degrees. Next week temperatures are staying the same, with highs of around 13 degrees, but be warned, next week is looking very rainy up here in the north, so it might be now time to find your umbrella that you haven't seen all summer. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Gracie. That rain isn't looking great. It looks like I'll have to get my umbrella out, but that's all we've got time for on today's show. Thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you and good night.